What's the Future, the Time Lord Immemorial. So this has been, okay, so the basic idea of this series, it's an anniversary romp special. We're up to part 6. Essentially, the Doctor's been hit with some kind of weapon that makes him degenerate or change generations between each carnation. Also, his clothes change for some reason, right? We don't really understand why. And it's basically an excuse for each different disc to have a little smorgasbord of different Doctor Who stuff all mixed together. And generally speaking, it works. They all have the tone of like Christmas specials in that they're made more for the normie to be, again, anniversary frothy fun. So the first one was the Tom Baker one, which I thought was really good. Then you had Peter Davison, which was okay. But then you had the Sylvester McCoy one, which was freaking awesome. Fantastic. Right? That was great. And there's a Colin Baker one. And the David Tennant one was also very, very, very good. So this stuff, and he's trying to work out how to stop his like degenerative state. So this is a complete failure, right? I was so looking forward to it, and it was such a complete failure. And the weird thing is, I listened to the interviews with the writer at the end, and she was talking about all the things she wanted to do, the interplay between Christopher Eccleston and David Warner, and everything I was excited about it by, right? All this stuff, right? And it was just a failure, right? That she achieved none of it. It didn't have a big budget special. No, it's not. No, it did have a big budget special, a big budget feel, but it didn't have a normie special feel, which is what you want these things to have. It was. It just didn't. These things need to be written on like broad strokes or a deep understanding of the source of the source material. So the elements they put together here are not good, frankly. You have, they don't play together well. Like, so Christopher Eccleston, the core of his Doctor, if you have, moments that define a Doctor, I would say the Everybody Lives Rose moment from Dr. Dancers, right? That's it, right? That there's hope coming out of fear and despair, right? And elation, right? And he's a very emotive Doctor. So they just kind of have him start off for the first 20 minutes doing his goofiness, which isn't very good. That's very weak, right, for this Doctor. He's not good at that, right? That feels very, very forced. You don't get, and David Warner, great actor, he plays the Doctor kind of like a hungover Hartnell. That's how he describes it. And they're kind of like at each other's throats a little bit. He's from an alternate universe. This is his last performance. It really could, if they went for a more emotional script, an emotional story, given more of an emotional journey, it would have been wasted. That would have sparked, which is what I wanted, right? That would have been fantastic. We didn't get that with this, which is a real shame, right? It was a real shame. So the other elements they put in is the Lumiere, who I can't stand. It's another one I can't bloody stand. This is a saccharine sweet future version of the Master Missy, right? It's played by, who is it? Gina McGee. They're very excited by who's playing. I've never heard of her before. Gina McNee, right? So I just don't like the character. I think the character is a bit naff. And speaking of naff characters, you've also got Nicola Walker as Liv Schenker. And again, she went off to be she ended up being having a lesbian relationship with Tanya, who has a penis, right? So whatever, mate. So that was stranded. That was to me, that felt like intense trans propaganda, which I don't think was the best thing they could have leaned into, right? So she's on vacation, And then you've got this like semi-sentient sand that turns into monsters that invade the TARDIS, and they all end up in this ancient Time Lord Immemorial place. Time Lord Immemorial is an ancient Time Lord villain or figure played by Robert Powell. None of the elements of this gel together at all, right? I have to tell you, just none of the elements gel together at all. And the performances and the characterization for Eccleston's Doctor and Warner's Doctors doesn't gel together at all. And the story doesn't gel together. And like, none of this really falls together. Why? This is her second script for Once and Future. Why she's doing two is beyond me. Her first one was mediocre at best. It wasn't great at all, right? But I would say mediocre at best. Let's see what other ones she's done. Yeah, look, this was also kind of forgettable, but it helped. At least the story held together, I think, in a far more cohesive way, right? Than this one, which it really didn't. That's the Colin Baker one she did. Best one is Sylvester McCoy and what's his name? David Tennant. But you could have got, I don't know, somebody more familiar with the Ninth Doctor and David. Like if you could have got Mark Gatiss to write this, for example, given him these pieces, maybe get rid of the Lumiere, who I just can't stand. Right, just an awful character. It would have been far better. So let's look at backstage. Yeah, I wish again, and they were so happy to be working with each other, right? They were so excited. Christopher Warner and David Eccleston, especially Christopher Eccleston, and it was so proud, and it just didn't meet their talent, right? Which is really, really tragic, right? This is the Lumiere played by Gina McKee. They were so excited about her. No clue she is, right? No clue she is. And then who else is there? Fine. Yeah, so I cut that's the entire cut, and it nearly worked. But why didn't they get other writers? It's beyond me, right? It's truly true. Why didn't Nick Briggs write one? Right? It's truly beyond me. Or maybe did he write one? I'm not sure. It's a real disappointment, right? I will call this a real disappointment. So, but we have another Once and Future this month, which is going to be the one that basically wraps up. There's a coda, which comes out next year. But the one that wraps it up is all about it looks like it's got the Fourth Doctor, the Eighth Doctor. The Doctor has been hit with the degenerative weapon. They didn't get Jonathan Carrion. He's done as the War Doctor. I think I'm not getting that next box set. There's quite a good history built up with the Eighth Doctor and Susan, especially around the Time War. There was I think two very good short trips, which were or Companion Chronicles. I can't remember. I think maybe Short Trips. Short Trips or Companion Chronicles. I do not recall which one. Which continue their story. They've had a bunch together. I think throwing River Song into that is a good idea. Matt Fitton hopefully will be able to put it all together. But man, what a disappointment! What an absolute disappointment this was. I'm very surprised. Right, I really thought they would have pulled it together way better than they did, and it's a sad waste of material, right? That's how I would describe it. A really genuinely sad waste of material. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.